Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastup Jr.
Hello and welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show as we continue our fantastic series on franchisees. As you may remember, we started last time with a basic discussion of franchising. And like I mentioned, this is going to be a multi-part series. So if you've missed a part, go to our podcast site or wherever you download your podcast and you can catch up. So last time we talked about the basics, and we're going to continue that discussion today. Now, one of the main keys to franchising is about systems and support. And this has been, in my experience, the most important thing. Great franchisors, and we talked about, the franchisor is the company that actually, built the product. That's what I call the mothership. Great franchisors provide systems, tools, and support so that their franchisees have the ability to live up to the system's brand standards and ensure customer satisfaction. And all franchisors and all of the other franchisees expect that you will independently manage the day-to-day operation of your businesses so that you will enhance the reputation of the company in your market area. So it's really a win-win situation. The franchisor is going to provide, a turnkey approach where they're going to have a system. They're going to have the tools and the support so that the franchisee can be successful. And at the same time, the franchisee is making, the most of the market by dealing with the independent day-to-day operations of the business. So that is a very important part of this. So when you think about the more common services that franchisors provide to franchisees, what are those services we talked about? We mentioned a second ago, provide systems, tools, and support. What are those? And they really come down to 5 or 6 different things. Number one is a recognized brand name. And I'll just throw it out there. For example, Hardee's. Hardee's is a brand and people know what to expect from Hardee's. Site selection and site development assistance. And this is a key part to this. When you get involved in this, what you will find is a good franchisor will actually work hand in hand with a potential franchisee to make sure that they're opening up their franchise in a place that they're going to be successful. They're going to look at population counts. They're going to look at median family income. They're going to look at different things like that to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to be successful. Because, a lot of people will say, well, the franchisor doesn't care. They're going to collect their franchisee, upfront fee. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But they really do care because it's all about their brand name. And what they don't want to see is a franchisee's place closed because then it's going to affect the brand name. They're also going to provide training for you and your management team. This is a very important part of this. A lot of franchisees will have people that actually travel from franchise to do training and setup. My father was involved many years ago with Kenny Rogers Roasters, and I was just coming out of college, so I was able to get involved in this a little bit. And I saw some good things about franchising, and I saw some bad things. But one of the things I really thought was positive is that the franchisor actually sent out what they called an opening team, where they would send out an opening team to the restaurant to work with the individuals in each part of the business to help them understand, the model that needs to be put together. And they'll start this a couple weeks before opening. And then most of the time, they're there for the grand opening, and they also stay after the grand opening so that they can make sure that they're there to learn through to work through the learning pains. A good franchisor is also going to research and develop new products and services. For example, I'll throw one out there, Boston Market. I don't know how many people remember this, but when it first came out, it was Boston Chicken. But what they finally realized pretty quickly is that it wasn't going to be enough to just have chicken. So the thing that Boston Market did was they were able to introduce new products. It wasn't just chicken. They rolled out meatloaf and they rolled out other products so that, it gave people a reason, to come back to that restaurant if they wanted something besides chicken. But that's important. It also is important that they have headquarters and field support. You're going to need people at headquarters to help you with national purchasing or national advertising. And then you also need that field support. If they're going to roll out a new product, let's use a food service as an example, and let's say we're that Boston Market, and all of a sudden they're going to roll out a turkey product. Well, if we've only trained our people on how to deal with chicken, and now we're rolling out a turkey product or maybe a meatloaf product, they need to have that field support to really help the franchisee be successful. And of course, along that same line is initial and continuing marketing and advertising. And that's important because you need, if you're going to buy into the franchise approach, then you want to make sure that they've got an excellent advertising and marketing model. Now, getting back to the basics, franchising is also a contractual relationship. And this is when I talk about the legal section of this. In a franchise system, the owner of the brand does not manage and operate the locations that serve customers their products and services on a day-to-day basis. Serving the customer is the role and responsibility of the franchisee. We talked about that. Franchising is a contractual relationship between a licensor, franchisor as we call it, and a licensee or the franchisee that allows the business owner to use a licensor's brand and method of doing business to distribute products or services to customers. You'll see this with example. I know many people know about Capriati's, but Capriati's is actually franchised out now. They have locations, as I understand it, in Las Vegas and other places. In the United States, a franchise is a specific type of licensing arrangement defined by the Federal Trade Commission. We'll talk a little bit about that because there are really positive things that happen, because of the Federal Trade Commission's responsibility centers to this. Now, in its basic terms, this contractual relationship, a franchisor licenses a franchisee the right to use its trade or service mark, to identify the franchisee's business in marketing a product or service using the franchisor's operating methods. The franchisor provides the franchisee with support and exercises certain controls, and the franchisee pays the franchisor a fee. And we'll talk about those fees. In exchange for that, the franchisee usually pays a franchisor a one-time initial fee. That's what we call the franchise fee. And this varies depending upon what you're buying. And then a continuing fee, most commonly called a royalty for use of the franchisor's trade name and operating methods. The franchisee is responsible for the day-to-day management of its independent owned business and benefits or risk loss based on his own performance and capabilities. A lot of people see, when we talk about the basics, investing in a franchise or becoming a franchisor can be a great opportunity. But you need to understand, before you select any franchise investment and signing agreements, you need to do your homework. So now that you've got a basic understanding of what the franchisee, or what we're talking about, understand what that system looks like. Understand what goes into, developing this franchise agreement. And you want to invest in surrounding yourself with good people. That would be an accountant, a lawyer, you may talk to an insurance person. And you really want to do your due diligence, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in this series, and make sure you understand what you're getting into as it relates to the franchisor. The International Franchise Association has over 1,400 franchisor members representing 100 unique business categories. So do your homework. Take a look at, the International Franchise Association. See what franchises are out there. It's really amazing to me when I did research for this particular topic to discuss how many really cool franchises there are out there. But you need to understand that you need to review them and take a look at how they do business. Look at their brand and look at their support. So hopefully you'll catch in the next series.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware, and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph@AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.